Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Boom. There he is. Oh, wow. What a week. What a day. Hope you are well. And yeah, this is our 14th broadcast. I'm Simon, and I am on here today with my partner in crime, Tim, who I will introduce to you shortly. Now, Tim does deserve his own little titles in the corner here. But it's really complicated how to do it. I'm still working it out. So, yes, thanks for joining us. And if you never joined before, thank you. And for those who regularly join us, thanks to you too. Get involved in the chat room. That's the best place to be. If you're live, if you're watching this live, do get involved. Get in the chat room because there's lots of banter, stuff going on. People answer some of the questions for us when guests are asking things and saying things. So tonight we've got somebody really cool who, if you know him, Mark Lows, he's one half of trance duo South of the Stars, and he's awesome, and he's going to show us some stuff, celebrate some releases that he's just had recently. It's done really, really well. So anyway, without further ado, I'm going to zip over to Tim. How you doing, man?
I'm all right, thank you, Simon. Everyone got a little bit of an insight to what's going on behind the scenes, and I still managed to fuck up, and I had the YouTube channel I'm monitoring playing through then.
Yeah, I was like, I'm funny, me. But I mean, funny. I am quite humorous.
You are quite funny.
Quite funny, yeah.
I don't know what you've done to deserve being funny at that moment, but you are quite generally funny.
Well,
yeah.
I've planted a joke that I will do in about 25 minutes. But no, and it's not even that funny. So.
And it's that premeditated.
Yeah, 25 minute.
In about 20 minutes, I'm going to drop a very unfunny joke.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, so...
No,
it's
don't
cool.
forget.
No,
I've got to do something before you move on, which is, guys, if you like what's going on, please... Like and subscribe. It shows us that you like what we're doing, and you could even, if you think that there's some people that might like it, you could even share it on your social platforms. But no pressure,
I share things. Yeah, I shared my randoms that I got for Father's Day.
Randoms
with my boys who bought them for me. Speaking of randoms,
yeah.
Anyway, so for those who haven't joined before, the idea is. Tim and I make music together, and you will start to see an increasing amount of things that we're doing coming through. And the whole purpose of this, obviously, I'm an Ableton certified trainer, and I do stuff all the time. And when we first launched this, it was all about Ableton Live 11. But now it's just about making music, and it doesn't matter what you're using to make it. If you happen to use Ableton Live, well, that's cool. If you play a guitar, that's also cool. If you play a Moog, we got them too. We've got air conditioning units. If you play one of them, that's cool. If you've got a Marshall amp, Tim's got one as well. So we've got a lot in common. And a lot of the music styles we cover, honestly, we are into so much. So so far we've had hip hop, drum and bass. I can't even think, because we don't even think in genres anymore, do we? Well, I don't anyway.
No.
So let's get the bit that we talk about. So Tim sent me this phone recording last week, and we had... Sarah Sims from Mixed in Key, and we did the satellite plugins thing, which we thought was amazing. If you don't know what it is, go back to last week's on the replay, check it out, because it's
episode
basically
14.
Oh, so that was 14, was it?
We're 15 today.
This is 15. I got it all wrong.
Yeah, it's all right.
Well, I'm glad you didn't correct me or anything, but that's
no,
cool.
I wouldn't do that.
Oh, I would. Anyway, no, I'm only joking. So let me have a nudge. So you can't... I've not shared my screen with you yet, have I?
No.
Last week I said something. What did I say? Oh, I want you to see what I can see. Because that's a better than... Just share my screen. Just share my screen. Man, I hear that. I mean, I'm sure that everybody here hears that, daily. So...
It's worth noting as well, I've not seen what he's done with this. I just sent it via phone and said, "Oh, isn't it cool this?" And then Simon's gone away with it. So it's new to me, this.
No one has seen this, Tim. Not even me, because I just had to do it quickly because it's been one of them busy weeks. So the concept was, Tim's going to throw me an idea, and then I go, "What do you think of that?" And then we do something. Now, what I was trying to sort of usual, being an Ableton certified trainer, people say, "Oh yeah, what can you do on live?" And so many things that we'd need 100 episodes to get through everything it can do, and then they'll only go and release something new that you can do, so we'll just add to that. This is what Tim sent. I think it's this unwarped thing here. Oh, in fact, it's actually warped. So when he sent it me, it was like this. Can I just ask as well, Tim, last week we were quiet at the beginning, and I think I've sorted it. So if you can just ask anyone or anybody's in the chat room saying, oh, volume levels, that kind of thing.
I'll keep an eye out for any comments. I'm sure.
Yeah,
well,
please do.
You've just asked them now, haven't you? So I'll keep an eye out.
Yeah, definitely. So anyway, so do let us know for that. So Tim sent me this, and I think I'll just make sure that you can't hear anything else. And so he sent me this, and the first thing that we said was you need to warp it. So this is our, and I've got them starting early, right? We've got the bird noise at the beginning, which I haven't done anything with. Give me the bird noise.
Volume spot on.
Hey.
Thank you, Notelba.
Yes, thank you indeed. And then you've got the repeat. So one of our listeners who I spoke to during the week, and he should be on it. He should be on soon anyway. And he said, well, that was brave doing that. So, and because he just did it, live. And what it is, I'd never asked him, like, where's one? And we were trying to figure it out. And we had Sarah on, and we were trying to just hurry up. But this is what I figured out, for Tim, that if I get yours now, and what I did, whether you know or not, I asked you where one was, right? So any of you that are doing this out there, the hardest thing to work out when you do acapellas and stuff like that, if you ever tried doing like Eminem or a few people that sort of rap really fast and articulate, they push and pull with the beat constantly, and unless you totally know the song very well, it's very difficult to get it on, regardless of what tech you've got. It's a challenge. But because I know Tim, I thought he means that there, because he did the right. Now it's really, really swing and push and pull, right? So I thought, I bet he means this now. So what I'm going to try and do is get to this yellow one up here, right? Is what you gave me, which is not warped. So if you, like I showed last week, if you right mouse click, you can crop, you can manage a sample file, show it in the browser, which is where it came from, or show it in the browser if it's from within your Ableton library, or show in Finder, which is on your computer. As soon as you hit warp though, hello, you can do all sorts. Now, because I've done that and activated warp, it's put warp markers in. And to be honest, it has actually revealed some of my where I thought it was. So if I press Command A, I'm going to select the whole thing, and then press backspace, delete, it's put it back to its original unwarped self. Now, I did actually set one there, which I was going to show you, but I'm going to pretend that you haven't seen that. So anyway, so if I press play now, so it's actually playing it at the tempo which I've got it set to, which is 150, which I'm going to pull it down because I've set a scene to do that. I think the original one is about 95. So I set this on 1 anyway. So I decided that you were doing this. This was 1. And then the first time I can hear a solid 1, if you don't know where the downbeat is, you have to wait till about here. Or here now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's about there I'm hearing it. 2, 3, 4, and da 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 da. Because you're playing it on an upbeat, yeah?
Yeah.
You're going 1, 2, da da da. So you gave me that. I don't know you're doing it to trick me or anything, but it did. Anyway, I went on here, and you know what I did? I let Live do the work. Right mouse click, and I put warp from here. You know what? It did it. So this should be, yeah, it's about right, because it's a bit lazy, but you see bar 2 there? That's where you go back on the beat. So this is what it should sound like. And if I put a click on as well, you should hear that it's not bad. It takes a while to get on. Oh, I got a spinning wheel there. I don't know why. So, I can't stop it. There you go. Anyway, so you think, all right then. So I did a bit of messing around. I brought that one in. There's bar 2. And then the actual BPM was 95.47. Right, okay. So that's what I got it to. So now I think this one, the orange one. How does that sound to you, Tim?
Yeah.
And I was just like, oh, it's well slow. So I'll just move you out the top down here a bit. So I went with that and thought, okay, now I can do all sorts of crazy things. I could chop it up and do things. I chopped one up down here. So I got part of the audio, put it into simpler, but I'll just go with this. And I thought, well, I'll keep it simple. Yeah. So I went here and I made a scene, literally, and I called it Idea 1. So what I did first of all, the guitar you use, what guitar did you use for it?
Gibson Hummingbird.
Oh, right, okay. So that's a nice, expensive acoustic guitar, isn't it?
Oh, she's lovely. Yeah,
right.
She's
so
beautiful.
This is with absolutely nothing on. That was a bit of reverb I put on. You know when I told you about my mouse, Tim, and I've got a 2-mouse operation. Well, I clicked on it, then it wasn't doing anything.
Well,
so
neither of them.
Well, yeah, one of them. So I'll ditch the click for now. All right, it's the second section there. Right, so I'll just go with the first. So what I did, I copied it over to another channel, and I've called it Simon Channel. And all I did, a little bit of compression and a bit of reverb. I think that's what I did. So this is the one that I've ended up using. I'll just solo it. Just a little bit brighter. And I decided that this is the tempo it should be at. I think it's this one. Yeah, here you go. And you got off bass. It's a bit like Black and Gold or something.
Oh well.
Drums.
That's nothing wrong with that, is there? Oh, I'm in. Yeah.
3, 4. I think it's very you, Tim.
I think it's very me.
Yeah.
But I'm very pleased with what you've done for it because I have a bit of an issue with writing faster stuff. I never used to, but for some reason, anything that I tend to put out now, it tends to be quite low tempo, and I'm not quite sure why.
Well, originally, according to the way it worked, the beat out was 95, and the drums, just up the way I played them, I just tapped them in, so they're a bit cheeky, but because it was slightly swung, if you quantize it, it was like, nah. So I just went in and I just corrected a few of them, but you can see that there's a few little cheeky errors here and there. And obviously with drums, it really shows as well. So I make no apologies, but if the kick drum's on one, we'll all be good. So anyway, a bit of cheekiness there, but some of it actually works. So that's
I fucking love that. I love that bass line.
Well, yeah, it was just literally like sort of. I think I used one of the complete ones, the J bass. If any of you use that, yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know why it's not showing up on there. Anyway, I won't stress. So yeah, I did that, and then I did the usual, the right mouse click, convert harmony to MIDI, and it came up with this. And those of you who saw it last week, there were loads of notes up at the top there, which guitars pick up, and it was a bit messy, but there is a wicked bass line in here that I was going to explore with. But if you just hear it on the default, which is where are we? Yeah, on the default, which is just, you get like this. Oh, why is it not being me fret? There you go. When you do harmony to MIDI, if you can specify in preferences what you want it to open up, but if you just get it to do this, it gives you like a synth to piano thing. And I just did this to clean it up. So I'll just show you that. So all I did, I got rid of a few of the notes that you get from harmonics and scratchy bits. Now, if you're thinking, I know Mark's coming on, and Mark's doing some wicked stuff with trance and things. And if you don't know what the chords are, because we had a quick chat with Mark and he was talking about music theory and stuff, so that'd be interesting to hear what he's got to say. But if you go to, this is a Live 11 thing. It's actually one of the Max for Live plugins, but it's just in Live 11 by default. And I use it all the time. If you're a regular watching the show, you know, oh, he's going to use his MIDI monitor. But
that's what I was thinking.
But it's banging though. So if I go down here and press play now, A flat minor.
Bringing the MIDI monitor out again.
A flat minor, and then it goes E add 9. E suspended, see.
Well, to be quite honest with you, I'm taking the piss, but that's, seeing as my music theory is absolutely non-existent, that is extremely useful for me. I didn't know what chords I was playing. I know certain shapes on the guitar. So that's genius.
You just said it. I'm not saying a thing. But then I thought, I don't like that sound, but I do like this one. So this was one of... I'm in the lounge. You're in the lounge. And I don't mean your house. I mean the lounge where they sell drinks and they won't let you go at the moment. But yeah, it's a vibe, ain't it?
Unless you're a member of UEFA. If you're a member of UEFA, you're allowed to travel over to the country with no quarantine restrictions. Yeah, but we won't start that.
No, we won't. Yeah, you feeling it?
Yeah.
Tim's on the prowl. See, that's 136. Let's creep it, man. Because it's got half time there, you see. 2, 3, go. So you can hear the drums are not quite in time.
No, but I'm alright with that.
Sounds more garagey though.
Yeah. It sounds like it's being mashed up by...
So that's that.
Yeah.
But obviously, I'm like, oh, I've got to do it. Mark's coming on. I'm going to do the trance track really quick. And I thought, don't be silly. It's a precise process that needs lots of skill, which Mark's going to show us. So I did this instead. Now, obviously, it's going to go on Simon's Lo-Fi Guitar Volume 1, that, isn't it? But that is just, I literally chuck the sample and I've got... The camera's got a bit wonky because I think I got excited.
Did you get too excited and not... There we are, but you're back on.
Yeah, no, it's back on. So I chucked it in, made sure I pressed warp, and I was off, and that's using the slice, and yeah, it's wonderful. And it's easy, you know what I mean? I just did that,
easy,
bit of this.
Very easy but effective.
So there was these I found up here for just play this.
Vestax says that would make a nice remix.
Yeah, you know, so nice one. So this, but so I was just hitting some keys up here.
That's cool.
And as we know, the master of random slice samples is Ned Rush, and if you go back and watch one of his, he did this using sampler and did it off the velocity, and it was just, he was putting all his guitar stuff in nuts. I mean, if you can play it. But I really like that though. It's the major chord you're playing it.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's pretty much what I was on about. So that's just using the simpler, and then I would probably split that up and just, you know, slice the drum rack, so then I could do individual, well, I'll do it so you can see. So it makes an individual slice for each, and then you go up here and then every slice has got its own channel. It blows people's minds out when they first see that. Somebody said something on one of the Facebook pages. Oh yeah, but you can't do this and can't do that. It's like drum rack's just amazing. You know, you just chuck the samples on, slice it, and then each one's got its own channel. See, all I did was. So, like, you know, you can see it just up and down there, and you can, because I had reverb on the whole thing there, and it didn't always work for some of the hits. So what you do is just
right, I'm with you.
Turn the reverb off the main channel, and you know you can go
treat each sample differently. Then
absolutely, yeah, you can go here, and you can actually set up a send and return. You can put effects on the rack, and then once they got there, you can then have sends that appear down there. So. Yeah, it's deep, man. You can keep going and going forever and ever. Yeah, so what do you think then, Tim? Which one do you go? Idea 1 or idea 2?
I think there might have to be a bit of both. Because what I was hearing when you were going like with the simpler, when you were going bum 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 bum, it felt like because it's so organic, because it's been brought from the guitar, it sounded like it could be over those open chords. You know, where it opens
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I like it. It's cool.
I will not.
And I love that you've upped the tempo, because, like I said, I naturally don't seem to do that at the minute, and you've thrown it in there, and it sounds marvelous. It's taking it somewhere different. I love it. It's great.
Well, I'll tell you what I did to get it right with that, which I didn't really go into, but if I just like got rid of all these channels, because I've used addictive drums, and not everybody has addictive drums and whatever, but I'll just I don't think I've even... Oh, Tim's swingy guitar. I've not saved that. Should I save it?
Save it, yeah.
Okay, so I'll save it as Tim's swingy guitar number 2, because honestly, it was only just before we started this. I'll replace the main one. Don't ever do that, by the way. Always put number 1, number 2, number 3 when you save stuff, because you can... The way it backs up, you won't lose anything. So if you go back to current project now, you can see there, go up to the top and you've got backup. And it's actually done it. So yesterday I must have done it in the morning, and then done that, and then Tim's swing guitar today. So it has got the backup in place in case it all went Pete Tongue. But yeah, I thought I did it today, or maybe I just imported the sample. I know I thought I'd done this today. I don't know. But yeah, so what I did, I got the actual bit I liked when I did the loop, like this bit.
Yeah.
And then I think by default it's 95 BPM, how you played it. So if I bring it down, so roughly that, yeah, there you go. Solo it, this is what you... Which now it sounds like it's really mega slow. So I'll take it without the warp. No, it is that slow. There's nothing wrong with that, it's cool. Oh, we have a visitor. Right, so you get the idea. So then what I did then, I just let it, when I got a BPM and it was moving, I did the bass line first, I think. Or I just kind of, I know what I did. I do this all the time. For those people who just want to get ideas down quick, if you go to templates, and then what I use, the demo and sketch, I open that, and then I just drag the drums from there and just drop it in. I think I've shown that quite a few times on here. I drag the whole channel in. It's got all these clips. But, you know, sometimes I'd use them. But in this case, I went, no. And then I just literally open this. And like... And then, you know, I just, like, poured it in, like your cat there. And that was it. Yeah. So we'll keep that one.
Send it. Don't just save it. Send it after this. Don't let me forget to tell you.
Okay, well, I will talk to you about that a little later. Don't save. We'll save it, yeah? Did I delete anything? No, don't save, because I just mucked around. Right, anyway, so the bit that people actually tune in for is now.
Bullshit over. You can come and listen to someone interesting now.
Yeah, so I need to stop sharing screen. Okay, so we'll go there for it. So Mark is waiting for us in there. So I'm going to play a video now. I've known Mark for years, right? And he's had he's always been making music and stuff, but he's had some success quite recently. that is just great. And I wanted to catch up with him anyway. And I thought, you know what we'll do? We'll ask him to come on the show, tell us about the work he's been doing as South of the Stars, and share some techniques he uses live. I mean, we had to get in there, didn't we? So, yeah, let's have a look. So this, I'm going to show you. This is, I'll let him tell you all about it. But this is, hang on, I want to get it right. It's MVO, Time to Say Goodbye. And this is the South of the Stars remix. So, and it's a real glossy video. It's really cool. And I think this time last week, no, it was before this, there was about 1,000 plays when he told Ollers lot that, oh yeah, it's a video and check it out. And now, today, right now, it's on 16,000. So you can tell which way it's going, yeah? So I'll let Mark tell you about it. But this is the track, and it's called, MVO, Time to Say Goodbye. South of the Stars remix. I'll play you this, have a listen, and then Mark's going to tell us all about it, and he'll join us in a sec. And this time, I'm going to mute my microphone rather than just say, I'm funny me. But if you missed it, we're going to, after the show's finished, I'm just going to chop that bit off the beginning. Aren't you, Tim? Now, hopefully,
you get rid of that, won't you, Tim? Yeah.
Well, no,
yeah.
I knew that the mic was live when I went out. I just went to get a drink, so.
Yeah, of course
you know it is. Right, here we go. South of the Stars remix. Check it out. Wonderful, wonderful. I got to say, man, it is a track that, definitely. And so let's welcome Mark Lowes, South of the Stars. Woo, 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 woo.
Thank you very much. Cheers, guys. Thanks for having me on.
And that video is absolutely marvellous, Mark. And we've just been speaking about it briefly, but it's brilliant.
Yeah. It's just. I mean, it's just insane to see it. To be honest, I mean, to see it out there and doing that. To be honest, it's crazy.
So I mean, so. When was it actually released, or when was it uploaded to YouTube? Like,
I think the video came out last. I'm going to say last Tuesday. I think it was the 15th. If that was last Tuesday, the 15th.
Yeah.
That's when the actual video came out.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but the track actually came out a good few weeks before. I think June the 4th. I think it was available for.
Yeah, I saw that on your Twitter.
Stream, download and stuff. Yeah, so. Yeah, it's the video's only been out about a week or so.
Wicked. Well, it's great to have you on, mate. We've known each other for some time, and I just thought, what great reason to get you on. You've got this wonderful release. We can talk about that. You can show us some stuff on Ableton Live, because that's what you use. And we haven't seen you, so let's do it. And know Tim now.
I do, yeah. It's nice to meet Tim, and it's you can see a slapdash way of using Ableton Live instead of the certified trainer way. So I feel like I'm amongst Ableton certified trainer royalty.
Don't be
and this is the random thing. I mentioned random before. First thing, I'm glad you got the memo about hats. Yeah, you got the memo about that.
There you go.
Just totally random, but I thought this is going to be interesting. And Tim's thinking, no, what's he doing? What is he doing? So Father's Day, you've got kids, Mark. You know what it's like. I got this wicked little present, and it's called. You'll like this, Tim. I forgot to mention this, Tim. It's called Songversations, and this is not paid promo. Happily, we'll do it.
Are they our new sponsor?
Happily, we'll do it. So,
if it's a quiz about trance music, then
it's all in there. Well, actually, I've not read the rules. I just think the cards are cool because they're like little vinyl things there. See, nice. And what you do? Let's have a look. Right, here we go. This is like topical. You pick one, and it's some sort of game. But this one is like questions. They're double-sided. So the first one is right. Here you go. I can answer this one, but what's a song from the last concert you went to? How topical. So if you can remember 5 years ago, it's so at this current time, 2021.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. So what's a song from the last concert you went to? What was the last gig you went to?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. I think it was actually... I'm trying to remember. I mean, it is actually very topical, but I think I went to see Armin at Wembley.
There you go.
Which was... Yeah, I think he was at Wembley Arena.
Yeah.
And I think the last song was as we were leaving at about 5 in the morning. And I think I'm sure he played one of his big hits, like I think it was like Blah 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 or something, which went pretty massive for him as well. But yeah, I think it was that. I think.
Cool. All right. Well, that's a great one. That's a good one. It's very topical. He said, "Tim, what was yours?"
I think it was. Well, a track would be Remember, because we went watching Olafur Arnalds, didn't we?
Was that your last gig?
That was the last gig I went to.
Right, Olafur Arnalds. Yeah, that was wicked. That.
Do you know him, Matt? Olafur Arnalds.
Olafur Arnalds.
I don't know if I do.
It's like a beautiful blender, like a classic string quartet with piano, which he plays, but it's very electronic.
Nice.
No, very electronic would be the wrong terminology to use. It's just it's interestingly electronic.
It calms me down.
Yes,
it uses a lot of hardware in terms of electronic and stuff on stage.
Yeah, I mean, one of the stories that he told when he was there and on that tour, he was in so he's kind of like neoclassical, and he's a buddy of Niels Fram and Max Richter and all them guys. Kind of neoclassical, but it's kind of it's way. You couldn't just label it as ambient music. Some people do, and it's just like it's very melodic, very pianistic, but then he'll, like as Tim said, he works with like orchestral stuff. So he was playing on stage. It was Albert Hall, Manchester, wasn't it? That one, Tim.
Nice.
And but he was in an accident, and he couldn't use his hands to play piano, which for somebody who's doing that It's like, gee, that's pretty dark.
Yeah.
And he was at an airport, and you know those pianos that play themselves?
Yeah.
And he was there with his one of his tech guys, and he said, if I get one of them, can we make it so I play simple piano and it does like that, and we can get it to play arpeggios? And they're like, yeah. And they went away and wrote this software. So he bought 2 of those mechanical pianos. So when he was holding like down, say, G minor chord or whatever, it would send notes out to the sequencer, and the sequencer would tell the piano to physically play those notes.
Yeah.
And then then by the time he finished the album and went on tour, he could play again. He'd been rehab, he could play, but they were part of the album. So he took these mechanical pianos on tour with him.
Like
so he turns up, on stage he's got a full piano. So rather than use a sampler, brought the full thing, and when he plays it just sounds amazing, because he plays his normal piano and then it'll do this. Is it called Stratus or something? I've got a contact.
Stratus.
Yeah, I've got Stratus, and I've got the contact instrument that does the same thing as his. But yeah, you play it and it's like instant Oliver. But it's good stuff. Very calming. Very calming.
Visually, it was amazing as well, because live you've got like Albert Hall. Everyone's seated. It's dark as anything. It's just very dimly lit. But then he had that piano kind of. Say it's an upright, but it's been flipped so that the top was facing the audience and it was open, so you could see all the hammers working and everything. It was just great. It was
I think I've seen pictures of this. I'm sure.
Yeah, you will have. You will have, because loads of people that we deal with it. They all know Oliver Arnold's is.
Yeah, I think I do know where I might have seen it as well.
Yeah. Anyway, it's not about them. It's about you tonight. So, my last one was literally about 2 or 3 days before lockdown was, and it was John Hopkins at Bridgewater Hall in Manchester.
Yeah, nice.
He took the roof off. He went from like proper solo piano to full-on techno, and it was wicked. Anyway, enough about me.
He's insane. Like my an absolute guru of my scene is Ferry Corsten, and Ferry actually makes really nice down tempo stuff under his alias Fair, and he does an amazing plug in his playlist on Spotify.
No, do yeah.
He does a thing called Still Point on Spotify, and if you're into his kind of ambient and relaxed kind of chill side John Hopkins style, there's a lot of John Hopkins tracks that make it into that playlist, and my wife's a massive fan of that playlist.
Oh, is she?
Check it out.
Yes. Well, obviously we're all fans, aren't we? Including anyway.
Just quickly before we move on, Vestax says the Prodigy. We've got the audience joining in.
Oh, brilliant! Definitely. Shout in, guys.
Are going to become a thing, Simon. So
yeah.
Vestax says the Prodigy at Nottingham, Poison stood out for me.
Oh,
would that Vestax? Would that have been pre or post sad event with?
Oh no, pre, mate. Yeah, they've not done anything since then.
No,
they've not played.
It would have been before.
I didn't realise whether they'd.
Oh God, they've not done anything without Keith. No.
That's probably the best thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
But they're doing new stuff as well, aren't they?
Yeah. Well, the Prodigy's manager was on one of the webcast things. You can find it. Go and have a look. Talking about that. But yeah, Prodigy. Yeah, one of the best gigs I've seen was Prodigy at Manchester Apollo, and it was like, it's a long story which I won't go into now. Anyway, so I'm not. But yeah, anybody else see any good ones though? 'Cause it's very topical, and
that's. I think it sounds like you got a new feature for your show already.
Oh, Ned's here as well. Vestax, dropping. Yeah, a good contributor there, Vestax. I like some of your things there. Do you guys? Right, okay, great. Anyway, it's about Mark, so but just to. Songversations,
yeah.
A wonderful Father's Day gift.
I want you a sponsor of the Simon Lyon webcast.
Well, but no, there's like instructions and everything. You know what I mean? It's much deeper than I described it there. But just again, it's called Songversations. Yeah, very good. And
that could be a more relaxed Sunday show, I think.
Yeah,
with a cup of tea and very
bit English. Of Ferry Corsten and John Hopkins on the down low. That's what we're saying.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and I should have actually changed my answer, because before lockdown last February in the UK, I actually went to Fabric to see a friend play, but I can't remember the last song because I left very late. So
I see. Well,
I'm probably had a couple of sherries that night as well. So.
Yeah, I can't remember the song because I left very late. That was a very nice way of putting what we all know.
Oh, we
do. A couple of sherries.
Yeah, a couple of sherries. Too many code words here for people. It's just going to get really confusing when you actually did have a sherry. Anyway, but that'll be years to come. So, anyway.
I think red stripe's the word, really, isn't it? Red stripe, yeah.
Red stripe, yeah.
Always the rave beer, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. It is actually, it is. You go to an illegal rave and they've always got a fridge that's not functioning full of red stripe lager that's warm. that sounds about right.
And if you want a vodka and Coke, it clearly comes out of a plastic bottle of Diet Coke and just tips. Oh, jeez. Anyway.
Mark, more about Mark.
More about Mark. So, obviously, you're the first person we've had on the show that is working in the trance genre as well. So, and so we've... It's totally cool to talk to us like we're absolute noobs about trance, because we are. I mean, obviously I've talked to you about it and I know some of the names. Like we've mentioned Armin Van Buuren quite a few times and Armada. So just tell us a little bit, because I remember you and I having a conversation. Let me try and work out when it was. In fact, I know when it was, but I can't quite pinpoint the year, although I could work it out. Yeah, so we were having this conversation in Milton Keynes, if I'm right.
It was, yeah, 100%.
And there were all sorts of people that we know there. And it was actually the first thing that I was doing a thing with Rachel Collier, and it was her first kind of public thing where she was doing some demos and stuff, and you know, you were there, and all sorts of people were there. That Mylar Melodies was there. He was there doing stuff. All kinds of people that do that kind of stuff. Yeah. And we were just chatting, and you were saying like, "Oh yeah, you know, I've not done this for ages, and I'm going to do." And then I was like, "Mate, you got to do this." And you were working on something then, and it turns out that you're going to fill these gaps in. That track you were working on actually like just went boom, didn't it? It just got you straight back into it. So zoom back from then, and then tell us how you got into it all, because you sort of had a label, and you were talking to me about all kinds of stuff. So just give us a little bit about where you were, then, and then how the last few years have just been. Whew, so.
And they've flown by at that pace, I would say. Yeah, I think going back to paint a bit of a history. I used to run a record label with two other colleagues, one of which is actually Chris.
Chris. The other half. The other half
of the other half. Yeah. So, and that was quite successful. It ran from about 2004 up to about 2009, and that really was where we kind of crafted a lot of the contacts in the industry. Like, I wasn't making a lot of music or trance music per se. We were basically signing a lot of artists from around Europe. Trance was booming; it exploded. I actually had some finance to put into starting something. Funny enough, this is a complete digress story.
Oh no, it's all right, mate. It's all right. We do it. But we do it as a kind of. It's not even a hobby; it's a thing.
yeah, it's definitely a thing. It's definitely a thing. I nearly signed a very who then became a very top drum and bass artist.
I knew this is.
Yeah, you know, I'm not going to say it because this will get dragged up on the internet, of course. But
is it? All right, okay.
But,
I nearly said who it was then.
yeah. But so the label was going to be called Motion, and my two friends we were into trance music anyway. I learned a lesson by that, which was, follow your own path, get into what you want to do, invest in what you want to do, and do it. So we ran the label from about 2004 to 2009, and at its height, it did very well. It was supported by Armin. If you go back in Armin's sort of career, he was really kind of exploding, coming up. People like Tiesto in his old trance days before the EDM explosion.
Wow.
He was a big name. He supported a lot of it. In fact, he actually put one of the releases from the label on his popular In Search of Sunrise compilations, which did really, really well. So yeah, the label kind of shut in 2009. We did sort of make some music beyond that under a different alias for a while, and then the score, mate. He said, you got partner, you've got kids. I did that for a bit and still am doing it, loving it, enjoying it.
You're doing a good job, mate.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you. So yeah, and then fast forward to, I guess, a show I was at when I kind of looked and turned around and was very surprised to see a particular guest, which was Armin Van Buuren on an exhibition stand. And I actually sort of went up and talked to him and said, hey, do you remember the label used to play out, used to send you all the promos, used to spin them on your radio show? And he was like, wow, that was a long time ago. And I was like, yeah. And he said, are you still making music? And I said, well, thinking about it. And he was like, look, have you still got my email address? I said, yeah, I think so. Is it still this? And he was like, yeah. He said, look, there's always opportunities. Just get to work. And if you've got anything, send it over. There's always opportunities. So I think that paints a picture up to the point where me and you were gassing about things. And you were kind of like, you need to, you got to go and do something. Like, why not? What's the alternative, right?
Yeah.
So
shit or bust.
Oh. And I think I'm rewinding back to about 2018. I think.
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I think it was, because a track I know you've got a clip of is the track that we're talking about, which is a remix of Perry O'Neill classic called Wave Force.
Yeah. Do you want me to just stick that on now, because I can?
Yeah. Do you want to play it? Have you got it queued up?
I can kind of do it as we're talking, because.
Yeah, cool.
So it kind of gives some context. So for those people, so just tell a little bit of people about Armada and what Armin Van Buuren is. He's still like massive name in that. And like when go on, you carry on. Go on.
No, yeah, I suppose so. I mean, I guess he's probably like, the genre leader for trance music. Like, his radio show goes out broadcast to 50 million people, I think, worldwide. Not only online but around FM stations. I think Armada in itself is probably the biggest independent record label outside of majors. So they definitely, they handle artists from like Loud Luxury and people like that. So they do a lot of house, techno, melodic house, progressive house, all of that kind of stuff. But their foundations essentially are in trance, because Armin himself, I guess, is 1/3 of the team that owns Armada. So
yeah, it's really cool. I like how they name the label, because it's Armin is the R, and the other two guys are Ma and Da. So it's Armada. Yeah,
that's right.
It's just like, I saw it and I thought, right, okay. So there you go. That's how you make a label name. Just first two letters of all your names. That'd be interesting if you've got a really crazy name.
It would. It would.
But so like, just before I'll play this, and this is from. I'm not just saying it's one of them things when you've made it, when your track's getting played. And this is from Ultra Festival. And like, my first exposure to trance, I think, was I went to Glastonbury like ages ago. And, prior to that, I'd been in rock bands and indie bands and stuff like that. And I just kind of, I think it was about 95. And I was, I think so. And I saw the Prodigy, actually. We mentioned Prodigy. But Prodigy... Keith came on in a ball, and there's still footage of the actual one that I was there at Glastonbury. I think, Glastonbury 95. He came on in a ball to Outer Space, I think, and I have really like crazy memories. But after that, I was like, sort of festivals, this is it, because the nature of what I was into, I was like, I could go and watch. I saw Supergrass, I saw Portishead and Pulp, and I saw. Like loads of good drum and bass and things like that, and everything. It was just nuts, and I couldn't believe that there was this place where you could do all this stuff. And then I was looking at the festival, and I saw a clip of Tomorrowland, and I was like, "Oh my word!" And I think it was one of the big trance DJs, and they were playing to this like big the sort of backdrop was like a massive haunted house kind of thing. Oh, I mean, when I mean massive, I mean mega. And he was playing to like 100 and something thousand people at once. And it was just like some sort of, whoa, it was like a new religion or something. It was like some sort of cult. I was like, my word. And then
their stages are insane. They're insane.
Unbelievable. So, and it's like massive in Europe. It's like massive, isn't it? It's just like unbelievable. So this clip I'm going to play is from the Ultra Festival, which is like it was every year in Miami. I don't know what's going to happen now, whether it's been virtual things, whatever. But so this, just tell us how this got. What I'm going to play now. We'll talk while it's on as well, because it's a 3.5 hour set. And just tell us a little bit about what happened here then.
Yeah, I guess this sort of fills in the final blank, which was when we were talking back in 2018. And we're actually good friends with the original artist, which is a guy called Perry O'Neill. And we were kind of chatting to him, catching up, saying hello. I think it was like his birthday or something on Facebook. And myself and Chris were like, you know, have you still got the parts to Waveforce? And he was like, yeah, I do, yeah. And I was like, okay. And he was like, but you'll have to check, you know, with Armada. And I was like, okay, cool. So fortunately, I'd met the A&R guy for Armada a few times and been emailing and stuff, and we kind of said to him, look, is there any opportunity we could have a crack at Waveforce? Like, you know, at this point we'd had a couple of releases out, nothing that had gone quite as big as this, but we were like, yeah, could we have a go? And to be fair to approaching a major independent record label, they didn't sort of put the walls up, they didn't put any complications in place. Awesome. They just simply said, if it's of a good standard, then we'll certainly entertain it. If not, nothing. So there was no, you know, there was no strings like that. So it was kind of like that. And then we played around with a couple of things, a few ideas, got in the studio, and it kind of came together. And I was a little bit, I had one of those moments where I was like, God, you know, I mean, even if it doesn't get signed, it's just, we've got a version of Waveforce, which for us is like a classic track from 2004.
This is it now playing, guys. I'm just pumping it away, talking there.
Yeah, so it's, you know, and then luckily for us, the A&R guy really liked it, and then such is what happens with a lot of the trance labels, is that the A&R team, which includes Armin himself, then listens to it and then decides if he wants to release it on any of his labels. So, and then we got, I think the whole process took a little while for him to hear it, and luckily he loved it, and he loved it so much, in fact, that it made his Ibiza compilation later that year, I think in 2018, and then he played it I think at Ultra Miami. I think it was played at the Big Untold Festival in Romania as well, which is just insane amount of people. And also he played at his High Ibiza residency as well. So it just kind of went pretty big, that one in itself.
So amazing, that what we just played then, I mean, I was reading some of the comments, and some of the comments on the MVO remix as well, and there was one that I thought, you've probably read every comment, because I know if it was me I'd have read every one. One person said, I've been listening to trance back in the day, and I've not listened to it for like 10 or 15 years, and I heard this and I just thought, I'm back on it, this is amazing. And one thing that I know you're going to show us some stuff in a bit about building a trance track, but somebody said about, they were quite honest about, they said, when I saw this remix of this like iconic track, I thought it was going to be shit. And they said, oh, how I was wrong. You know what I mean? And they just thought that, I prefer that when people just really blunt and go, thought it was going to be really shit, this, but it's amazing. And I think that's like double compliment, isn't it? Their expectations were more than exceeded. So
yeah, completely. I mean,
well done, man.
I know that exact comment about the NGO thing. Because,
I knew you would.
It's one of them things, isn't it? Like, if anyone ever wants any one piece of free advice, is learn to fail quickly, because if something doesn't go your way, it's quite easy to get upset about comments and stuff like that. But especially when you're touching what some people describe as a trance classic, which is what we did with MVO. We absolutely love that track. So
you're playing with something that's pretty precious to people, aren't you?
It's like us messing around with a Prince track or something.
We're going to cover Prince.
No one will care.
Cover Prince. Oh, right, are you really? You're going to do that? Are you sure you want to do that?
It's one of them things that makes you a little bit nervous when you're doing it, and I think that was a comment really that someone said, they were kind of like, you handled it really, really well. And I think that the integral part of that MVO track, the music video you played at the beginning, is that it has this iconic guitar.
Yes, I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, and you'll be quite interested in this. Although I don't have this as an example today, we're going to talk about the basics. But
Oh, do say
that particular guitar sound we had to recreate. An Envio Ashkan, who's the original artist, we didn't get any parts from it. We actually recreated a lot of it. We recreated a lot of the MIDI and stuff. And the guitar sound was actually from the Ableton guitar library, the sample pack on the ableton.com site. We grabbed it from there, all of those real sampled electric guitar sounds. And there's actually, if you listen to it again, anyone that's rewatching this, if you go back and you listen to the lead guitar, we actually sort of doubled up the track. And then the second part, we actually put a pitch in the guitar to recreate like a slide. So you'll hear that, but that was one thing.
No, I was going to ask you about that because I thought I'm intrigued. I heard it, I thought, and then I instantly thought, knowing that you're not really a guitar dude, thinking,
I'm not.
I'm going to ask you about that. I want to know if I just presumed it was part of the remix part, and you recreated it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, and to paint the picture of the Envio remix was another case of like within our scene, there's been a massive celebration. State of Trance hit 1,000 episodes for a radio show, which is pretty iconic. I think it's like, I don't know, like 15, 18 years it's been going. It's been insane. Jeez. But it dug up a lot of memories for a load of people that were listening. And one of the tracks was Envio. Time to say hi. And so myself and Chris were like, should we have a go at recreating it? And then that weekend we were like playing around with some MIDI and stuff, got a few things together, and then finalized a few bits, got into the studio, put it all together. Changed the bits, changed this, changed that, changed it a few more times, and then eventually it ended up being the way it was, which was pretty insane as well. Insane.
Well, I think this is a perfect opportunity because for some people who don't know how the music's made, if you want to show us kind of like the ingredients, I talked about if we were making like, you know, when people have the basic ingredients for a curry or the favourite dish, and there's like...
Well, I've got a question for you.
You go for it, Tim. Can I ask you a question first, Tim? I'm going to turn my aircon on because it is so hot in here. Just tell me if it kind of causes interference. And
go on. Try it and I'll tell you.
Oh,
we'll sit here and wait now.
Wait,
you carry on talking.
It's got a lovely ringtone.
It does, yeah. Good sample that, Sam.
Yeah,
marvelous. Put it in simpler.
Yeah, carry on. You asked the question, Tim. Sorry. Oh, it's kicked in now.
It's possibly a bit of a very basic question, but with kind of, and excuse this label, dance music, not necessarily being my bag musically, as in music exploration, creating. So what defines trance then? Because we're talking about ingredients, so you're going to show us through. So what are the defining factors of trance as opposed to house, as an example, or what?
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to label it by a speed or BPM because I think that that really kind of pigeonholes something when you start going down that route. But I think trance in itself is euphoric by nature. It has, I would say, a lot of synergy with classical music, for sure.
I can testify to the euphoria at Cream in Amnesia. That was a late night as well, Mark.
Was it a late night?
A few sherries.
A few sherries that night as well, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it has a lot of connections with classical music. I mean, historically, in terms of the way it was made way back then, a lot of the drum sounds are kind of 909 sounds. I think you must remember Paul Van Dyke for an Angel, things like that. Synthesizers like the Juno 106, you know, kind of synthesizers like that are iconic. Even the Novation Supernova actually have been used in quite a few big tracks as well. But it's euphoric in nature, and generally leans a lot to classical music. But in terms of making it, it's very surgical. There's many different layers to it, as Simon was saying, in terms of ingredients. Not saying that other styles of other styles of dance music are not the same. Whereas some are very intense layers of percussive sounds or something like that.
Yeah.
Trance is surgical in the amount of layers that you have to, say, stack lead sounds, bass sounds, stuff like that. So they have traditional kind of rolling bass lines at the style we make, which is generally about 138 BPM. Although we have made faster, we have made some slower tracks as well. But
what tempo did you say then?
138.
Well, yeah, 138. Yeah. That's what I know of that, because it's just it's pushing it, isn't it? It's pushing.
It's a lot of it's sort of like, well, a lot of the stuff we make is 138 and above. We've actually just signed a track to another, or in the process of, that's 140. So we do push a little bit more as well sometimes. But yeah, so I mean, hopefully that answers the question.
No, it does, mate. It does, yeah. I always feel uncomfortable when I'm talking about dance because I don't know the details and nuances, and I feel a bit like out of my depth.
Well, that's why we're all here, Tim, to ask questions and be a conduit for the audience who also have the same question. What is trance, though? What is it? I mean, but it is still one of the like quite clearly defined genres. You know, you can say like drum and bass, house, hip hop, and things like that. And you say trance, and people have got an idea. When I say trance, I instantly just hear like, is it like sawtooth style synths and really like hard but not offensive beats, and quite smooth. The production always seems to be really smooth to me. So that's what I'm interested
there's always there's a lot going on, a lot more than I think that a lot of people think about. With it in general, and I think that just saying about trance as well, people are very protective of the genre as well. When you but I must say, if you ever go to a trance gig, I'd highly recommend one, because people are just the most amazing, mate. They're all there for an amazing time.
That's all I remember.
It's such an amazing unity. It really is.
Well, I can recognise it when I hear it. I would be 70% sure that I could say, right, that's a trance track, because it used to be one of my favourite genres when I was living in, because I lived in Ibiza for a couple of years.
Nice.
It's all coming out now, Tim.
Well, one of the best gigs that I ever went to was Cream at Amnesia, and I managed to see Van Buuren, Van Dyke, and Ferry Corsten all on the same event, and I can't remember much of it if I'm honest, but I know that it was an amazing night.
Were your arms aching from being aloft?
Yes, yeah.
Then you had a good night.
Tiesto at Privilege. I got to see Tiesto at Privilege as well.
There you go, man. And we just thought you were an old fart rocker, mate. That's what we all thought.
Mate, he covered all the bases there.
Poof. See? Took him by surprise there.
Show us the ingredients.
Show us what you know.
Okay.
We'll
play some trance and make us dance.
All right, so there's
straight into arrangement of you. Boom.
Yeah, there's two things I need to remember. One is to set this to Zoom audio output.
Yes.
That's one thing. The other thing is I found a hi-hat that I lost when I was putting this project up.
Well, I know that because it doesn't say media files missing across the bottom.
Down the bottom, yeah.
CD vibe.
So that was one thing. I'm just going to move the floating zoom heads out of the way.
Yeah, we can't see that.
Yeah, I'm going to move that to the side there. If they get in the way, I'll keep moving them around.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a couple of things to say before we kind of delve into this. One thing is that we've spoken to about this before, but there's a definitive difference between writing, production, and engineering. I would class myself in the first two. So myself and Chris do a lot of the writing, we do a lot of the production, and then we go into a studio and we get this fully engineered. Some stems make it. We take a lot of stems, a lot of parts, a lot of ideas into the studio, and some of them make the cut, some of them don't. Sometimes my engineer ends up ripping out a kick drum and says it's not good enough. That's just the way it is. But so in terms of what this kind of project is it's just an idea that we've started. So it's very early in the ideas process, very early in the production process.
Yeah, that's cool.
So to give people hopefully an insight into the various different layers. And I mean, if I kind of scroll down, you can see I'm a very messy worker.
It's grouped though.
The opposite. I was just thinking.
Nice, it's grouped and everything.
It's embryonic, yeah. It's grouped and everything.
Color coded.
Very effectively.
Yeah, there's stuff in bus channels. It's grouped. It's got some color coding. But it's stacked a lot. But what I'll do, do you want me to play a little bit first, and then we'll talk about?
Yeah, sure. Just give us before you do that. Just play like 1 or 2 layers, and just give us a bit of a level so we don't overload or anything. But we checked it before. It's fine. See, I can't hear anything there actually. Just
all right. Let me just make sure that we've got this.
Did you do the share audio when you actually did it? When you actually went through the share screen? Did you?
Let me just reshare just to make sure.
It's always better to check.
That's something else that I always forget to do. So you're not alone, Mark.
No, the way I do mine, I actually don't need to share audio anymore because I just use my interface constantly. So.
That's it. That's what I should have done.
It's cool.
Right, are you hearing this?
Woo! Oh, we are, mate. We are.
So I'll just let this play through a bit.
Big, man.
Yeah, it sounded all right.
Oh, mate, it sounds mega.
Marvelous.
Good. Yeah, so like I said, it's very early on. Obviously, a lot of the percussive layers sort of come back in. There's a tiny bit of arrangement kind of going on at the moment, just to kind of get that groove, get the ideas, get the process going. But what I really wanted to focus on was a lot of the. It's just kind of to give people an idea as to what the basic foundation is. If you do see this video, or if you've thought about wanting to get into producing trance music, this might give you a little bit of an insight into how you kind of go about it, hopefully. So I mean, in terms of like we said before, a lot of the stuff we make is 138 beats per minute. Just to kind of explain, there's a lot of layers going on. I'll close some of the groups in a moment as well. Okay. In fact, there's a lot of effects going on, white noises, sweeps, kind of short sweeps.
Is that what your red color code is for effects?
Yeah, one of the things that someone taught me, and by the way, about these techniques, if people watching this, they might see me using a lot of things about people I've learned from and stuff like that.
Sure,
one of the things I learned from straight away. So these are not all my trade secrets. These are things that I've learned from other people, and my engineer as well. A big shout out to him as well, because I learned a lot from him.
What's the name of your engineer, man? To give him a plug.
James Diamond. Yeah, good lad. Like, he's literally helps me with everything. I've learned tons off him.
Cool.
So yeah. But one of the things I learned a lot is I try to work in sort of like things that you use a lot, and then things that sort of gradually come in as the arrangement kind of grows. So you're always using a lot of white noise and effects to bring in new elements of the track. So effects generally kind of stand at the top. So there's a lot of those going on. I won't delve too much into effects because but we can show the kind of side chaining and stuff that's going on.
Yeah, please, stuff like that. Yeah, it was so tight, that, and one of the things that Tim and I are always talking about, because like we're just doing this one at the moment that's kind of breaky, drum and bassy, and like you can only have so much going on at one time. And one of the things that like clearly there is the space and the power and anything like that, because it's like everyone wants to know that.
Yeah, like, a lot of that is in the layering of the basses, which I thought would be the topic we could cover. Because,
definitely, man. Yeah.
The bass is generally about sort of 3 to 4 layers going on with the bass, and excluding the sub bass, because obviously we've got a sub bass that's playing. So a lot of that kind of, like, I've got a friend that always says to me, he says, "God Christ, like, how does that thump and the mid range and the basses, they've all got their own space, but they all just the impact when the sub drops as well." Like, so a lot of that is to do with the layering stuff. So yeah, I thought that would be a good topic, but we'll have a look at the the project. But yeah, just a reminder to people, it's very early on the ideas process, so not everything's solid, but there we go. So just to look at the project, one thing I've got at the top, which another thing I learned quite a while ago, was having a separate sidechain channel. Some people will just drop, say, a compressor onto a bus channel, so like the bass bus, for example. Let me just get my instruments up. Actually, they might just drop a compressor on here and sidechain straight from the kick, which is, you know, I mean, I'm sure you covered sidechain on the channel before, but a lot of people sidechain from a kick. What a good thing to do is to set up a sidechain channel where the volume is completely down to 0, so you're not hearing anything. So if I solo this, there's nothing being played, but it is a trigger, and the sample itself is actually shorter than a kick drum. And in terms of the sidechain itself, what that'll actually do is give you a sharper initial attack on the sidechain. So using a sharper sample than a kick drum, say like a hat or a little tick, is a good way to kind of set up sidechain. Again, it's the way we do it, and I've kind of learned how to do it. But
can I just ask you about that? Just so what you mean is you've used a really short sound to just duck really quickly to allow the kick to come through, and then just it's gone before. It's just to allow that first boom. That's why it's so.
Yeah, so if I just solo the effects, a lot of those white noises, so the ducking effect you can create on white noises, so you can hear.
Yeah.
You can hear the ducking effect. So the compressor is the sidechain from this is coming from the SC sidechain channel rather than a kick channel, basically. So that gives you like a lot more kind of control. You can obviously set the ratio and attack and kind of totally go crazy with it. The threshold's fairly dragged back down, but that'll give you kind of like the ducking effect. Like you said, it's ducking when the kick hits and then pumping. It gives that pumping effect through the track. Now with trance music, there's a lot of things that you sidechain. In fact, obviously in a lot of modern dance music, there's a lot of stuff that you sidechain. Particularly in this track, it's a lot of the white noises, the sweeps and stuff, and the mid basses as well. So that's just what's going on there. So if anyone sees that SC at the top with no audio playing, that's essentially what sidechain's doing.
Right.
So the effects bus, as you can see, is not really much going on there. There's a ton of kind of sweeps, down sweeps, up sweeps, just white noise kind of hits on effects bus 1. The reason for setting up 2 buses or 2 groups is the fact there are some effects that you want to sidechain, like those white noises, the sweep ups and everything. But there are some effects that are short, or you know, perhaps like a boom sound that you would use in a bass drop, which I think I've got over here, like a bass drop that you would use in a breakdown or something. You don't want to sidechain that. You want that kind of impact. So if anyone sees that there's 2 groups for effects, that's why. There are some that you want to sidechain, and there's some that you don't want to sidechain. Percussion, the group of percussion, individual hats, crashes, reverse crashes. It's not really too granular on that. There is an auto filter, so at the beginning of the track, I don't think I've used it yet, but generally what you would do is when you transition, you would use like an auto filter as a kind of, you know, use those kind of like in the transitions when you're doing it, you kind of filter out the percussion and then bring something new in. So there's not really much going on the percussion bus, so I'll collapse that. There's just a simple clap in there at the moment. At the moment, I'd probably layer that clap up, but there's just a bit of EQ, making that a bit sort of higher. So I want to take a lot of the low end out and scoop out quite a lot of the mids, because I quite like it if I play it with the percussion. Yeah, nice and thin and crispy with the percussion, so that's a lot. And then there's, you know, your standard compressor with to make that kind of clap, sort of the initial attack to get the clap kind of going. So there's nothing really going on too much in the percussion at the moment. There definitely does need to be some more loops in there for sure. Now onto the stuff that I think is probably what we're going to cover more. which is the...
Look at that EQ there. That's very, very precise, that.
It's very precise. This is on the kick and bass bus, which I think I'll come back to in a moment, but that's essentially on top of everything else that's going on. Obviously, within this group, we've got the kick, we've got the sub,
look at that.
We've got all of the other basses as well. The way I would generally kind of go about building this is I would start with the kick and the sub bass, work with those first, because Tim asked a good question earlier about fundamentals of a lot of dance music is the kick and the sub. It's a lot where your impact is going to come from. Those are the important parts. Again, I must stress, when we get round to taking a lot of the stems into an engineer, those things might be gutted and kind of taken out or changed or processed differently. So a lot of the EQing that I do is very simple EQing, very much top and tailing and stuff like that. So yeah, just means that when it goes into the engineer, to do a lot of analog processing on a lot of the bus channels and stuff as well, the group channels. So yeah, kick drum, fairly meaty kick drum. If anyone wants to know where it's from, normally I've been using a lot of the Dave Parkinson pack, Dave Parkinson Trance Essentials. If anyone wants to get started with some trance packs, Dave Parkinson Trance Essentials is a good one. I've actually just got a volume 2, but this one is not actually from his one. I don't think. I'm not sure, but I don't think it's actually from that. So that's the kick drum. There's not really much going on. There's a compressor, so I just turn the compressor off. The compressor is just giving it a bit of attack. So off and on. And there's a bit of EQ, just an EQ sort of bumping the kind of thud or the low part of the kick drum. Nothing else. Again, I don't really want to sort of go too granular. There's a filter for if I just go back to the beginning of the track. A lot of the, actually I haven't filtered the kick here, it's actually in the transitional bit there. So there's some automation going on with the frequency, just to, if you want to hear what that sounds like. It's because
I can see it there. Yeah.
It's because I'm creating a transition. So So when you're preparing for that sub bass to come in, a lot of these things go on. So a lot of the auto filters come in.
It's great that, Mark, because I mean it's the contrast, isn't it? That you've had it hitting you, you've had a taste, and then it kind of bowed out with the auto filter, so that when it comes back in, you can't help but be smashed between the eyes by it.
100%, and that's where a lot of, again, not just trance music, but a lot of dance music production is preparing for other elements of the track to come in. That's that's where your ears, again, going back to the cooking, the ingredients. When you say something new, it's your ears focus on something else. So a lot of that auto filter is to make space for the things that are coming in. So that's the kick, and again, moving on to the sub bass.
Can I just ask you, Mark? So one of our regulars, MHO.
Yeah.
Hi there, mate. Whoever
Hello.
you may be, is a regular. He or she is a regular. And it says, I see you're using a shelf rather than the 24 dB cut for the low end.
Oh, on the kick.
I'm not sure. We'll be a little bit behind, but if you want to add any more to that. If you want to ask Mark as well, just get that back in there. So it was about. I think
it might be on the kick possibly. And again, I might use a 24 dB. A lot of the stuff with these kick drums, a lot of kick drums you get out of sample packs are generally absolutely fine. So especially in the writing process, some people would just place them in. But a good habit I try and do is take off some of these frequencies, subsonic frequencies, anything below 30 hertz, which is what I'm doing, and I guess that's probably what you said. And again, it might be that I go back through this, I might sort of have a look at it and say, yeah, he's probably right actually. But if it's about the kick, then that's probably what you mean.
I think so. Is it? Yeah, it'll probably ask. Oh, it's using the shelf rather than 2 beat. Yeah, we'll come back to it because it's obviously there's a delay from when we're doing it, so it'll add to it. But yeah, can I just ask you about that? Because you talk about sub and you mean sub bass. You mean sub bass, yeah.
Sub bass, yeah. Sub bass.
Because the way that I suppose when I've been doing like drum and bass, if I'm doing something that like is I'm trying to think like genre specific, but yeah. So say you do you're using a sub bass, that's obviously going to go from like the lowest that your speakers can handle. Where do you class sub bass as like the roll off at the far end of the sub bass frequency, and obviously you're side chaining, so it's not getting in the way of the kick.
And there is side chaining, and I don't think I've set up side chaining for the sub. Sometimes it comes down to the pattern of the.
I was just going to say that. I think
the bass that I'm writing. So in this particular sub bass, I suppose, the kick room is here.
Yes.
Now sometimes you would, if I just change this to 16ths, sometimes you would write a bass line that would look something like that, which is a little bit more kind of rolling rather than the two.
But that's almost like a trance signature, that, isn't it?
It is, and again, there's different types of bass lines, different rhythmic patterns. But what I would do if I was using something like this, and going back to your point about side chaining and making room for the kick, which is why it's really important, would be that all of these notes, generally I would, sorry, just highlight the first one, would take the first one down just to kind of give it an initial velocity kind of difference to the other two, just to give the tail end of the kick a bit of space. But then I would also side chain as well. So, but I'm just going to go back so that doesn't sound funky.
Sorry, Mark, don't let me spoil your flow.
No problem,
we've got a bit more from MHO. Says just that I heard that a severe cut on the low can cause a resonance bounce and can take too much feel out. Question mark. So it's a question.
Yeah, I mean, a rule of thumb on what I know, and again, sorry if this is not as technical as he probably wants.
Oh, mate, no, don't worry about it.
But generally anything below 30 hertz is the stuff that would make your doors shake on your car. Those are those subsonic frequencies that, if you heard them in a big festival on a big system, that, they would cause a lot of muddiness, a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So generally I would make a 30 hertz cut. Now, whether he's, again, going back to the slope, again, that's debatable. I might go back and cut it, but just to make sure that there's nothing below 30 hertz that would kind of do that. So that's a rule of thumb I do with sub, but obviously with kick as well. So, sometimes a lot of these kick samples, you can get a lot of those subsonic frequencies as well. So hopefully that clears it up. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think so. And he was just saying he's listening to on headphones, and also just to give anybody that's on this show, well, actually, apart from the stuff you hear from when I'm playing it, when I play from Zoom, it goes out through OBS, and it's relatively the same frequency spectrum. But Mark, for example, is coming through the Zoom algorithm through here and out there.
Yeah.
To be honest, it sounds pretty fucking good considering. I've got to say.
I hope so. There's always the worry when you're sending audio through Zoom, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's it's cool, man. It's really cool.
Wicked, cool. I hope that answers the question. So yeah, in terms of sub, so this is coming from Massive. So I use a couple of different synths when me and Chris are writing and doing ideas and stuff. This is actually coming from Massive, and it's actually I think it's from a Seven Skies pack.
Oh yeah, I've used them.
Yeah, so Seven Skies pack. I've got floating heads where I should change to. There we are. So the reason I've got, and again, I know this question will come, why has he got 3 different EQs? The reason I've got 3 different EQs is to show actually what they're doing. Obviously, you can EQ this all together. But I'm just going to turn these off. So this is, in fact, the original sound.
Ah, right, yeah.
So you can hear there's a lot of mid to high frequencies.
It's quite nasal, isn't it, that?
Yeah, very very nasally, and that's not really what you want for a sub bass. In actual fact, with this track, I worked as hard as I could to kind of get that sound out of it. So the first thing that I did was actually boost the frequency that I want to use. And there's actually a good tool for this. Not only the EQ in Ableton, which will actually show you the frequency if you hover around it. This is in the key of G, so boosting that frequency, but also there's another really good tool which, if anyone Googles frequency of musical notes, the top hit on Google, you can actually, because music is mathematics, right? In terms of frequency, so you can actually set, really cool thing in Ableton, set the EQ to the exact point that you would need to boost that particular frequency. So the key of G.
Mark, can I show you a quick trick?
Yeah, go for it, man. I'm in royalty.
Just drag drum bus. Just drag drum bus.
Drum bus.
Up. There you go.
C, D, drum bus.
Yeah, just drag that neck. Yeah, anywhere. It doesn't matter because you're not gonna use it for what it does, which it does some great things. Now with drum bus, you see you've got that G plus at the bottom there. What it does, it generates like a sort of 808 style kick boom. We called it boom.
Nice.
So if you can move the boom up and down, but don't. But if you see the frequency there, it's 50 hertz, right?
Yeah.
Right, now I'm an absolute geeky nerd, and I know that 43.7 hertz is F, right? But if that's G note, just move that frequency anywhere, right? And it starts to give you an approximate readout of what it is. Now, if you actually click F sharp 0 there now, click it just below at the bottom.
Oh, here,
click that, and that'll tell you exactly that F sharp 0 is 46.2.
There you go. I don't need to go to Google anymore.
There you go. I've saved you time in my life. That'll be 60 pence.
That's it. See, I told you I was among Ableton royalty, mate. That's the thing.
But I mean, that's just
certified trainer royalty.
That's just one way. And if you actually ever go back and use that, the decay gives you that sort of 808. But if you bring the decay back, it's got more punchy sound. And if you solo it next to it, you see the headphones. Headphones there. If you click that, it will only play the boom.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
So experiment. Have fun.
I'm going to play with that now.
Yeah.
See what I mean? Just little ninja hacks like that.
Well, you're showing us so much, mate. I felt obliged because Tim and I, we get these guests on the show and we have a wonderful time because we just all show us how to make this amazing music, and we sit here every Wednesday and go, having that.
That is one thing I love because you just anything to make the production process easier is good because it, we haven't really covered about the theory, but I come from a very loose understanding of theory, so anything that can help is honestly gold, absolute gold.
I could guarantee you, Mark, that your knowledge of theory is definitely not more loose than mine.
Loose.
So I'll skip it on a tiny bit, but in terms of what the other EQs are going,
go on, just do this next one because I'm interested because I think you've ducked that there to make room for the kick, the snap in the kick. Is that there's the low end?
But it's also making a cut where the next octave is. So obviously when you're playing these notes, there's a bleed over into the next octave. So this is just pulling out the next octave to basically give room for the note that I boosted. So
that's cool.
So this is off. So there's a noticeable difference in the low end of the octave below of G. So if I turn it off and on.
Yeah, you can actually see it on the waveform as well, can't you?
Yeah, and again, that's what I love about the EQ in Ableton. You can see that, and if you expand it, you can see it. And then what the final one is doing, because Simon pointed out there's a very nasally bass sound. The reason, in a minute, which I'll show you, there's 3 other mid-bass layers. We don't want a lot of that mid and high-end nasally sound in the sub. So this is doing is just rolling off all the high and mid frequencies. So it sounds like this without it. And then we turn this on.
Oh.
So now it becomes, purely just a sub bass, which is what we want. And in terms with the kick, now this is a new, really cool thing that I mentioned to you before when you phoned me up about something that I could probably share. And again, shout out to James on this one. I don't know where he got it from, but it's a really cool thing. On my master channel, I use something called Voxengo Span. But before I do that, just to explain about the limiter's boost, because I always give myself headroom in the mix.
Yeah.
The limiter is to boost it so you guys can hear a sort of louder signal. But I don't normally work with the limiter on the master, is what I'm trying to say. Voxengo Span is a free plugin. So for those that are making stuff, go and grab it, because it can really help you. A good habit to do is to mix as you go along. Again, there are people that are engineers. Sound design is their thing. But when you're producing and writing, it's a good habit to get into mixing at the same time. So
isn't it, Tim?
Go on.
Isn't it, Tim?
Is it? I don't know.
No, we're saying it is. It's just like, oh my god.
Yeah,
we're working on this track and it's taking forever because we're doing that. We're mixing it as we go along. But if we had to just stop, if we just stopped now and walked away, it'd probably be right.
I mean, I know a bunch of people that just throw a bunch of ideas in, and that's the writing process. And when you're creative and all the ideas are coming, don't stop them, of course. But so just to show you what this can do, I'm just going to put it onto default mode. So this is on the master channel. So these are all the elements of the track in the mix at the same time. And what I want to point out, let me just make sure that we're in a area of the track that's got everything going on. So the reason that this can really help you is because it gives you it's basically a spectrum kind of analyzer. It's showing you everything that's going on in the mix. And one good practice that I was taught was to basically have your low end at the same height as your high end, because essentially what we're building at the moment is a lot of the low end bass, but a lot of high end with the percussion, the hi-hats, the crashes, the white noises at the high end. So what you kind of want to do is get your high end and your low end to kind of match. And then what that does is create a nice little smile in the middle for all of your good stuff, like your leads that you'll build later on, your melodies, your pluck sounds, your arpeggios, all those kind of nice, lovely elements that we love about trance music. But if you've got a good mix going forward, it's easier to then add those elements into the mix. So just to show you with everything in, you can see my low end, this end, and high end, and I'll show you a couple of things that I do to kind of work as we go along.
Oh yeah, please do.
There's a low end, and then the high end up here. And that just makes sure everything's balanced in the mix. But one thing I do is, and this is relevant because about the kick and sub. So if I solo the kick,
oof,
and then bring up Voxengo at the same time, you can see the low end of the kick, and I'll explain about the 30 hertz in a minute. If you go into a high res mode, you can actually see that anything sort of around 30 is kind of around 30 is rolled off. But a really cool tip that I was taught was to get your kick drum and find the level in terms of decibels. You can see over here, you'll get the decibel reading.
And the pitch as well. You got the pitch as well, yeah?
Yeah, and going back to the point about the drum bus, you can actually identify the pitch on Voxengo as well. Ooh. So if you do want to get into frequencies and notes and boosting and cutting at the right points, it's a good thing as well. If you want to put it on individual channels, obviously we're using it for master and mixing, but so we can see, you can see that's around 39 dB. And in terms of the sub bass, if I solo that,
right.
So we can basically see what the sub bass is and then level that in terms of volume with the kick. So a general rule of thumb is about sort of 3 dB lower on in the mix, basically, and that ensures that you're...
What's 3 dB lower then? What did you say that was 3 dB lower?
About, oh sorry, your sub. Your sub 3 dB lower than your
kick. Right. Oh, that's a nice tip, man. I mean, we just use a, well, that'll do. But I mean, it's like, that's good because there's clearly a bit of a, I think you mentioned before, it's physics, it's science, and it's kind of that. I think that's the interplay between the musicality, choice of sounds, and where things fit. Because
that's it. And someone actually made a song called "Music Is Mathematics," and it very much is so sometimes when it comes to things like this. But moving on to very quickly the other basses. So the sub and the kick then go into a group. No, actually, we'll do the kick and bass bus after the final bit. But the bass themselves, just to solo these, there's 3 other mid basses. This is all of them together.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so the first thing you notice is that there's no low end. The low end is taken care of with the sub. So if we play them together with the sub. So the sub is doing all at low end. So these are doing a lot of the mid range and the kind of a little bit high as well. So but the key thing about your mid bass is sound choice. One thing I was taught is pick them for the right reasons. Generally, there's always one that is the kind of the sort of central part of the mid range. It's definitively mid range in terms of EQ. And
like
then there's one
feature bass kind of thing.
Yeah, the feature mid bass, the one that let's see if we can find it. So that one there is kind of really kind of growly. It's it's definitively mid range basically. And sound choice is key because you'll hear like this one's quite, again, use that term that Simon used, nasally high end. So if you play like this one here that we said is definitively kind of mid range with the nasally one. And then if I take one out, you'll hear that a good tip someone said to me is when you're creating mid-range layers is that if when you take them out, there's no difference, then you've not picked the right sound. So you'll see what I say if I take one out.
Yeah.
So it's definitely losing something, and what it's losing is that nasally high end. He said that
grunt. It's got that high end grunt to it. Just makes it that little bit more.
Yeah, it does.
Penetrative.
And that it like they're complementing. I mean, we haven't gone into the patterns yet, but if I just again go back to solo, that I'll start with the first bass. These are from Silent. I don't know the pack. That I've got a ton of packs of Silent when I'm doing a lot of writing. I generally will dive into these, but
shout out to a legit version of Silent.
It is, yeah, bought and paid
shout
for, 100%.
Yeah, shout out.
So this sound, one thing I always do is turn the effects off straight away. So
okay,
the effects from the synthesizer itself. So if there's anything that's on this.
Yeah, because that's the thing that with Silent, the presets sound amazing, don't they? Like isolated.
They do.
But in a mix, it might not fit your track.
They do, and the thing you've got to remember is when you're building mid basses, if you've got 3 different soft synths that are stacked and they've all got their own effect settings and time delays and different settings, then the delays are all going to be pinging all off of the place.
Yeah.
What you want to do is you want to turn them off, and then in a minute I'll show you how you can then process them together as well. So
it's good advice that.
Yeah.
So when you're starting off, you haven't got a bloody clue about all that stuff, have you?
No, because the people will say, why do they sound kind of muddy? And that's generally why it is, because a lot of those, even though you've got the right sound choice, having the effects on and not processing them together, hence why we have groups and buses, this particular one here, then we can see kind of what's going on. But yeah, this sound, if I take the EQ off as well, this is what it sounds like. Now there is a lot of, again, if I turn the EQ off and turn all of the individual parameters off, you can see there's a lot of low end where our sub would be. So instantly I shelve that straight off, and then boost around the mid-range frequencies that I want as well. And then there's generally a little bit of a lift around sort of 2K in the high end, just to kind of bring that high end through. So if I turn the EQ off and then back on, thins it out because we have a sub that's doing that kind of low end sound. So I should actually just show you quickly the pattern that we're kind of playing, because this is is quintessentially trance music. But that's the MIDI for bass 1. So it's kind of just like a down then up and then down again, just giving space at the beginning again where that initial kind of kick would be. And again, we would traditionally sidechain the mid basses in the group, but yeah, this is this pattern. So it's kind of up and then it's down. It's like up, then down, then up. And I'll show you that why it's important to vary that up as well is again to give space. So if we go to bass 2, I think this might be a copy of bass 1. Yeah, it is. Yeah. So this is bass 2 sound, and this is that grunt that you were on about, Simon, with this particular track. So
yeah.
Sorry, this particular bass has a lot of grunt. So again, this is from Silent. This one's called Mid-Range. There again, we said that one was definitively mid-range. This is the one. And again, just sort of cutting off that low end again, boosting the mids. Nothing on the high because in a minute I've got bass 3 that's kind of that nasally high end. So this is taking it off. This is what it would sound like. Again, with the effects turned off in the synth as well. And you can hear again there's just too much low end. That if I was to play that with the sub, in fact I can do it just to sort of show what we're doing, but
oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's really kind of muddying up what the sub's doing. So if you then turn the EQ on, that's just kind of again cutting, giving the sub its room, but also yeah, in terms of layering again, this is now bass 1 and bass 2 together. And if I take out bass 2 again, there's that magic thing we were saying. If you can't notice it not there, then it's obviously the wrong sound.
Yeah, somebody just mentioned something. Our man who's revealed himself as Dave, MHO. He just put sub 3. He said the stuff you can hear on tiny speakers, because the way that is there, if you hear that on your laptop, you'll still get a feel of the bass line because you've got that frequencies covering that range. Even if you can't hear the sub, you can almost 100%. Like feel where it would be, and that's that kind of harmonic series but backwards, isn't it? You sort of know 100%. Where the sub is if you hear it on a big rig. So it's
it's like one of the tests we do on our tracks is to is to Simon will send me a mix and my task is to play it very loud on maximum volume through my phone and then we can see where
it's called the teen test.
The teen test.
Copyright me. And it's just like basically you play your mix, and if you can thrash it through an iPhone or similar, and it sounds good full blast, and you can hear everything, then that's it. Because
it's true.
Just kids walk around and just play. I mean, my eldest boy just walks around playing stuff on his phone, and it's just like, where's your bass? My missus does it as well. So to be fair, but it's like,
mate, but that's the thing. It's true. Like it is that old-fashioned way of going to listen to it in the car. Send it to other, like it took me a long time to get to a point to feel comfortable to send this to either my engineer, but other friends and producers in the scene, and they send it back and they say, yeah, that's sounding good, and you're like, wow, okay, I'm at that, I feel like I've got to that point, where I can send it to someone, they'll listen to it and they'll say, yeah, team test, team trance test.
Yeah, Team Trance, make us dance. Yes,
Team Trance test.
Yeah,
that's the one.
So
yeah.
Can I just ask a couple of questions? Because you clearly got this shit down, and it's like, and
I'm
then
gonna put my light on.
And then even then, you're sending it to an engineer to like really hone in on it. So I'm guessing, without being pointing the obvious out, that the production for trance is like, it's got to be bang on, hasn't it? Because otherwise it wouldn't be what it is. This slick interchange of frequencies, the kick, and as you mentioned, and somebody else mentioned here in the chat room as well, that it's like what it's going to sound like on a massive rig. It's got to have the power, but it's also got to have this kind of like slick finesse, this almost like cyber sound to it, hasn't it? It's got this.
Yeah, 100%. And the thing is this is what I was saying earlier, and some people will understand this, they won't, but there is a definitive process in writing, production, and engineering. And engineering is basically the stuff which is, you know, we're talking sound design, like you said, the way that stuff should sound on a big system. Generally, a lot of that stuff is analog processing chains or analog model processing chains. It may be that a lot of big producers will go into a big you know, studio and end up putting it through, you know, an SSL desk or something, you know, and getting that kind of analog sound or something like that. So yeah, I mean, but even in this process, which we spend a lot of time, me and Chris spend a lot of time, is, you know, very surgical. It is very surgical, selecting those right sounds, the right patterns, and we've not even got to melody creation or anything like that. So it is a lot. It's a hell of a lot. So those two sounds taken away, and the third one again, just to play, and then I'll play them all together and you can hear them.
Please do.
The third one is that kind of
right. So that's really, like I just call that like band passed. To me, that's like really like you know high.
I mean,
passed.
in fact, if you have a look at it, it's called mid rush, but in terms of the filter and everything, it's very high end.
Is there a Ned Rush?
Ned Rush.
Yeah, there's a Ned Rush. You get your own preset here, mate.
Yeah.
He deserves his own preset, that guy.
So there you go. So it's a very kind of high-endy, nasally sound, and even more so the fact, actually, what we should do is take off the EQ.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like, let's have a listen.
And hear it for all its glory, without effects. So there is a little bit of the mid stuff, but again, you know, this sound here, bass 2 and bass 1, they're doing a lot of that mid kind of focal point. So I don't want this one doing the same. I want to do it. And in fact, another reason why I don't want to do it the same, I hope I'm right in saying this, but bass 3 is a completely different pattern. So bass 3 essentially is let me just.
Oh mate, you need to get on Live 11 to look at the
I do, man. I do.
Like, you can multi-clip, you can highlight the channels. I mean, you can do it on 10, but if you highlight those 3 bass lines together and the different colours, and even
you can
the same
see
colour,
you can
see the individual ones, but there's a focus button now where it says fold. You got focus, and if you click focus, you can actually edit one and see where the others are.
Do you know when that's important for me, man? That is really important with melody creation. So when you're creating layers of for melodies, is seeing where the other notes are, and then that just would
Just
Live
from
11,
seeing this now, I'm just thinking, you need that in your life.
Super useful. But yeah, this pattern is different. It's going up, then down, then up, and then it's just repeating. So whereas the other one was down, up, and then there was a couple of notes that were down and then up again. So this is complete. It's a bit more straighter, but it's a different pattern in terms of it's going up more than it's coming down. So if you play this with the other ones, so now you can hear with the mid bass, everything's kind of playing its part and doing everything.
Go on, bring it in.
So here we go. So in terms of the mix, let's bring in the sub, the kick.
Fuck that kick, man. Oh.
And then everything. Okay, so one last thing I'm going to sort of quickly cover is the buses. So the bass bus in itself. So this is all of the 3 mid-range basses. So one of the things I was taught and learned pretty early on was when you're layering stuff and when you're stacking stuff, you're essentially piling frequencies on top of each other. So to go back to the other person's point about a 30 hertz roll off and stuff like that, when you're on the bass bus, if you're stacking all those frequencies together, if I take this off and just solo those sounds, you may get some additional bleed through. So stacking X amount of frequencies on top of each other, you'll eventually get some bleed through. So on the bass bus, put another EQ that essentially just gives you that little bit of roll off to stop any bleed through of other frequencies when you're layering.
Okay, yeah.
So a good tip. And then just a little bit of more tiny bit sheen on the high end, just a little bit more. So just to hear what that sounds like. Just again making room for that low end, that sub again. So
carving out space, isn't it?
Yeah, carving out space. We've thrown a load of frequencies together in these sounds, and we're just scooping it out again on the bus. Nothing else really going on. The compressor is a sidechain off of the sidechain channel that we said before. So if I turn that off, this is creating the ducking effect off the kick.
Oh, okay.
So it gives that pumping effect, and then the filter is for arrangement purposes. So at the beginning of the track,
all
of the basses were or are filtered, and then later on in the track,
I can see your automation there.
Yeah. In fact,
can we just ask you a quick question? From the chat room, talking about panning the basses slightly to widen.
You can do that.
Will it work in that frequency range? Because I know obviously like subs you don't pan them because of the sort of how low it is and phasing and stuff like that. But the way you've done those, it's not going to cause any sort of issues, is it?
No, that's right. And this person must know my script because I'm about to cover probably. You can do that. It will give you stereo width. And I learnt about the stereo separation button on the here on the stereo pan.
Yes.
I learnt about that. That's really cool for giving you stereo width as well. But on the bass, what I do to create a little bit more width is actually ping pong delay. So. You may have noticed that this is one of the only things with a send on it.
Yeah.
But that is going to a delay, which is, if I just solo the delay. And if you're listening to some headphones, you can hear the ping pong that's actually happening on the delay. And then there's an EQ after it to scoop out any of the low end out of the delay because you don't want any of the low end of the delay muddying up the mix. So in order to answer that question, you can pan the basses, absolutely, give you stereo width. The way I've done it is just to kind of have a little ping pong delay. So if I was to take that off, let me just solo the bass again. So that's all of those layers completely dry, no effect. But with the ping pong delay, what that's doing is just filling up all those spaces, all those kind of gaps.
That's very trance, isn't it?
Yeah. And again, that is 100% a technique that's used with those mid-range basses. Very trance. You'll hear on a lot of sample packs, you'll hear a lot of those style of rolling bass lines that have that kind of panning effect, or the
definitely
ping pong delay. So and that is what's going on the bass bus, and then. All of those, another thing that I was taught is to then group all of the basses, the sub and the kick, into a kick and bass bus, which again, Simon noticed this one as we first screen shared, that there's again just a little bit of bump just to give that oomph.
So that is a bit more subtle, that, isn't it? And just to...
Yeah, completely right. It's subtle because we've done all the hard work before. This is subtle just to give a tiny bit, so that all of those hard work, everything we've done, just punches through the mix, and that's kind of it. So just to hear what that's doing, if I turn it off, particularly pay attention to the low end. There is a bit of high end sheen going on. It seems to be a theme with this particular track, the way it's coming on, but. Again,
subtle but effective, isn't it?
Yeah. So subtle, subtle.
I'm not sure how much that you'll get it through with the stereo, Tim, and like here as well.
I could hear it, but not
very subtle, very subtle. And it's just to give that kind of bit of thump. And some people might look at a track and say, well, why are you grouping all of your basses and kick into another group? That's just why, just to give it a little bit of.
Well, it takes you nearer to the process of at the end of the day, you've only got a left and right, isn't it? You've only got 2 channels, so I think it makes total sense to me that the more you can like move along these groups with an order. I mean, I think since Live 10, being able to group within groups and stuff like that has been a visual thing to group things, because if you're just getting overrun by visually what's going on, if you put them in groups and you can see that it's just drums, it's just melody, and you can bring them down to maybe 4 groups, but then open them up and you've got them, and then you can go and work like you've just shown us.
100%. 100%. And I know a lot of people that will render a lot of stuff out as well, and then
we try and
manipulate it another way. But essentially that covers the kick, the bass. I mean, there's way more to it.
One more question for you, Mark.
Yeah, go for it.
Mr. Robinson says, when we were talking about the ping pong delay that you used to give width to the bass, he asked, could you not use mid-side EQ?
Yeah, you could do. Again, going back to I think what I said at the beginning, there's no wrong or right way of doing it. You could, and this is what's it they say. You pick up habits as you go along, and these are the habits that I think that I've inherited from other people. Don't get me wrong, there are tons of habits that I've thrown away and thought that doesn't suit me, it's useless, it doesn't work. Try it. If you've got that suggestion, then try it. I haven't done it on this track, but absolutely try it. Not a bad shout at all.
Run it from the top for us, Mark.
Yeah, go for it. Right, so just from the top, again, this is what we're up to, like 80 bars, something like that. This is just an idea at the moment. I'll then go on to probably add more layers to that bass. I don't even think that bass is actually done. I mean, some people might think that it's quite full. There's different things you could do. You could add some questions and answers, little stabs playing off each other just to fill up even more. Tons of stuff you can do, and I don't think this is done. But just to hopefully it's shown a tiny bit into the process of how you go about making this style of music.
No, much more than a tiny bit. And the responses have been good. You've got plenty of questions, Mark.
So good.
Great. It's such an insight, because we had no idea.
No idea. Well, I'll play it, and there's a bit of automation going on. So all those auto filters, there's ones on the bass bus, there's ones on the percussion. I don't think I'm using the one on the percussion at this point, but
that build.
There you go. So creating a lot of space. I mean, there's only a temporary drum fill in here and a temporary snare, because I haven't even got to that point where I'm like, it's just a sample of a snare and stuff. But yeah, that's basically what's going on with that at the moment. It's just an idea.
I can hear melodies over that, mate.
Yeah, same. Even working along as well, I can hear like little arpeggios and stuff that are building and stuff. And normally what I would then do is, which I know we haven't got time for today, but would then sort of start to write some chords and stuff, and use my broken arse theory to create that, which would take
definitely, definitely, like, come back and if you either show us what you did with that.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
Or just, I'll do something new.
We'll get you back. You give us a shout. Don't be shy. When it's like another point that you think it'd be great to show, and then we can show the guys, and people can watch the episodes back to back. Great.
Yeah, 100%. So Chris, if you're listening, my partner in crime, get right into melodies. Let's get right into melodies.
And just to put things in context, Mark, you've been almost apologetic at times about like the state that some of the sketches that me and Simon are working with, and we can like read between the lines. That's sounding great.
It sounds
really
mega, mate.
Oh, thanks, guys. Thanks. I mean, it's one of them things. Like I've said so many times, I do a lot of writing, a lot of production. Been playing with Ableton for, I don't know, 10, 12 plus years or whatever, a fairly long time. I learn new stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Watching some of your stuff before I came on, actually, just learning stuff all the time. And that drum bus thing, I'm taking that.
I am very informative, Mark.
You are, Tim. Yeah, you are indeed. But yeah, I mean, it's there's so much to say. But I would think the one thing that like we can take away from that for sure is like the sort of like the DNA of what goes behind that. It's like, especially for people who are like not just new, but people who have never used sounds like that before. Because just what you explained then, it makes so much sense. And I mean, I was trying to like think what Tim was thinking as his cogs are turning, but even the way you approach guitars and doing different lines, and the way that you've looked at it, and you've sort of carved the frequencies away so things fit in, and making space in the mix for the bass, that goes across all kinds of genres. And I think that's that's where we are in this day and age, where you have the tools to do this. And people talk about, oh, I need this EQ and that EQ, and I've got to say, you've used like stock EQ most of the way through there. And honestly, man, I don't know what difference it would have made if you'd have used anything. Some of the stuff that I've got, like UADs and stuff like that. I mean, they do sound great, but I think to design and shape sounds, and, if you need to take a certain frequency out, which you've done a lot of that, which is, you've done more cutting than boosting, which I believe is the best way. It doesn't matter what EQ you've got. If you're boosting the right or cutting the right frequency, you're cutting the right frequency, aren't you? So...
Yeah, 100%. And there are some that the Pro Q is great as well.
Oh yeah, that's lovely.
Which is great, but like Ableton does give you what you need in sense of it gives you a visual representation, and as long as again, not mute. Well, I suppose it is theory, but like you said, taking out stuff to make space for other stuff is what is fundamentally what this is all about. Whether that's layering, whether it's EQing, cutting, anything, it's about adding those layers and those ingredients that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, absolutely. We've certainly spiced up our life there, especially when it comes to this this approach, and it's certainly it's been great. It's certainly given us something to sort of like go. I'm like thinking now. I'm like, and every time we have a guest on, I usually just like slip off and go and do something, and it's inspired me, and it's just like, it reminds me why I do this, and it's I
know it's a very cheesy thing to say, and I've seen it so many times. We've been to so many events and stuff, and you see a nugget of information or something that literally lights a spark and a fuel and a fire, and it's a cheesy thing to say, but I see it so many times. I was watching a guy produce house music the other day, and it I hadn't really touched much apart from doing this, and I just wanted to go and open the computer up, start creating stuff, and really I think that's what it's all about. So if it has, in a small way, done that, I really do.
I think without a doubt. Yeah. And a lot of people have, the people in the chat room talking about stuff, and there's obviously more people that watch that don't get involved in the chat room, but I think it's really great that the idea of this show, this kind of podcast, is about making music, and I don't think it really matters what style, but I think everybody knows when you press play on that, the first thing was go, whoa, come on! It's just, and that's the essence of like that. So big up, man, big up. So let me just see. Anybody got any questions for Mark? Get him in now, because I need to let my dog out. Literally, it's not a euphemism.
Probably me too as well. I managed to pick up a dog.
We just get in trouble. We get in trouble. But mate, it's been awesome.
Simon,
go on,
Simon. Have we got any links of Dave's Mark's? Sorry, Dave. Sorry, Mark. That we can throw into the chat, because I'm conscious we've not done as of yet.
Yeah. Which is the best? We've got the. I've got the.
We're on most of them. Facebook.
At the very least, guys, for the audience, we'll have them in the links below. So when you're looking at this after time, then they'll all be in the description. And we'll get them in stuff.
obviously could go to Beatport. Because here's this link. Obviously, if you want to get the tracks, I'll put this in now. But I've got to be careful, Tim, that I don't like make things all go a bit crazy. But there's the Beatport. Yeah, see, I lose stuff, Tim, when I'm zipping around here. So it's I've done it now. Oh no, there we go. I can put this is the Beatport one. That's if you want to see all the tracks you've done. And this is something as well that we didn't even get a chance to...
Yeah.
Where's that coming from? Oh, I can hear some music from somewhere now. But the... oh, there you go. It's you guys playing at... yeah, there's the Armin Van Buuren live at Ultra Music Festival. It's pretty banging, that. I was looking at that. It's 3.5 hour set. Yeah.
It's a big set, that one. But yeah, we all the releases are on Beatport. We've released on... Pure Trance, which is SolarStone's label. We've done some stuff recently for Sean Tyas on his Regenerate label.
Sean, yes,
yeah, Sean. He's an avid live user. Actually.
Oh yeah,
you should get him on. He's a
yeah. I think he sent me an email when 11 came out, and we were just chatting about that because you put me in touch with him, didn't you? So
I did, yeah. And, he's way more beyond me. He's a legend as well. But we did some work for him, and he actually. Asked me to do that and Chris to do that for the 7 compilation as well, which is we were on that.
Wicked.
We've met a lot of our music's come out on Ram's Nocturnal Knights label.
Is that Ram as in Ram?
Well, Ram's pretty big in the trance scene as well. Had a massive couple of hits, but he runs a label called Nocturnal Knights.
Wow!
Which we've done. Few releases for that as well. Also did some stuff for Black Hole and Trance We Trust as well. But yeah, check them out. They're on there. If anyone wants to get in touch, just DM us on Twitter, Instagram, anything like that. Yeah, we'll happily get back to you.
I've put your Spotify link in it as well there, cool. So people just listen to your stuff. Cool. Because I think you can actually get to your socials from that as well, can't you?
Yeah, I think we put them all on there as well. So. Yeah, if not, just Google us.
Getting some plays there, mate.
A few, yeah.
Ooh, check you, 35,000 monthly listeners.
Yeah,
I know bands that would kill for that.
Yeah, that's definitely the MVO thing because it's all new and it's getting tons of plays and it's actually Armada have put it on a few playlists. So Armin's got his own playlist as well. I think it's on there. So yeah, it's getting some good love at the moment.
The Wave Force one you mentioned, that's at 233,000. That's
insane. That's a lot of that is the live show plays as well. A lot of the State of Trance festivals, things like that as well. So
brilliant.
Yeah,
amazing, mate.
Mad.
Amazing. Yeah, well, honestly, mate, good luck for the next steps. So just to leave it on that, I mean, have you got plans? You got things planned?
Yeah, we have actually got, and I said this before. I can't say any more about it. But there is actually a big release, a remix for a big artist that's been approved.
That'll do, mate. That'll do.
He's just an icon and a legend.
It's a he that limits it. That's a he. It's a he.
Bit of mystery. We like a bit of mystery.
Guess who? Guess it. Is he wearing glasses? Is he wearing a hat?
But maybe if I come back on at some point, it may have come out, or I can tell a little bit more about it. But it's been in the pipeline for about a year and been approved. But we can't really talk about it.
No, that's cool. I get it. I totally understand that, and people think, why are you saying that? It's because a release these days now, it's like it's all we've got left, isn't it? The actual process of releasing, and you've got to time everything. There's a lot of things go. We get it, don't we, Tim? Tim released one of our tracks. Oh no, it was an EP actually, just over a year ago, and the amount of work that goes into it is just disgraceful. So that's why people do this, don't they? And people, why don't you just tell us about it? It's a very coordinated process with a lot of people involved, and yeah, I think most people who try to release...
extremely coordinated, and to I think quote an A&R guy, he said once it's on the internet, it's been heard. I mean, it's fine if said DJ plays it in their set, that's fine. But once it's on the internet, it's known about. It's there.
Yeah,
it exists. Exactly. So yeah, there's always a bit of a process. It all needs to be coordinated, but I'm sure there'll be some stuff we can share at some point.
Well, we've already got a future date, haven't we, mate? So next time you're going to come on, show us where you've taken this.
We'll do melodies. We'll do some melodies.
Cool. Yeah. Right, Winnie, we got it.
Good. Part 2. Yeah, because we're due for another cycle of a few other people to come round over summer, so it's like, yeah, and just for that, anybody that's watching now, like, the guests are coming. I tell you, we've got some really nice stuff coming up. Tim and I were just putting some, there's just so much that if you're a fan of making music full stop, you're going to be looked after. And you know, this little journey across different styles and different people, it's just we're loving doing it. So if people keep turning up, we'll keep doing it. So we will say good night, and I'll just play our little piece out. I've not actually got anything. Actually, there's one thing that I wanted to show Tim, and I'll just put it on here. Right, somebody sent me this, right? And
I'm going to stop my share. So.
Oh, there you go. Right. Okay. Well, how can I show you? No, I can't actually show you what it is. So no, I'll save it for next time because I've got to do it so I can share it on here, so that you two can see it. But anybody just goes, this is what it is, right? If you go on YouTube, and you two don't do it, so as I fade this out, I'll show you when I can share my screen again. So it's, where's it gone? It's called, if you search YouTube and just type in YouTube, send this to a friend and say nothing. Okay, that's all. And it's music related. If anything else comes up, it's music related. That's all I'm saying. Okay, and with this,
essentially sent someone something horrible. I'll send them to a book.
No. So with that, I will say good night to everybody. Thanks so much, Mark, for coming on.
Welcome, man. Anytime.
Thank you.
Don't move just yet, because I'm going to show you this video. But thanks whilst you're here. Tim, thanks as always. We're doing this thing.
Before we disappear, guys, please make sure you like and subscribe. I've just dropped the link in there. Me and Si have 2 separate channels. One, Lostlight, for our creative output and our music, and the other one, which is Simon Lyon Music, which is, well, it's the namesake of this webcast. So make sure you like and subscribe.
Love it. Thanks for joining, everybody. And just keep in touch. All the socials, do all that stuff. And we'll see Mark again soon as well.
We will.
And I'm just going to drop our titles video. And one last thing, Mark, as well. Who's that?
The Fat Man.
Boba
the Fat Man.
The legend. It's not people who come in the studio, they say, oh, do you want me to put this in the kitchen? It's like, nah. It's got plectrums and capos and bits of headphones in it. It's like the essential studio companion.
Helpful
so there
stuff.
You go. And with that, we shall say goodbye.
Good evening. See you, Mark.
See you, everybody. Cheers.